How's it going, guys? And thanks again for visiting my channel, and I hope everybody's doing well. Today I have another brand new release from GVM. This is the GVM 880RS RGB lights, and I'm actually going to be doing a comparison today with the Neewer 660 Pro. So I have a lot to cover here, so don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. This is so far the brightest panels that GVM made in its class here. The only one panel that they ever made, which is actually a very rare panel. I think they were around for a few months and then they just disappear out of the internet. That's the GVM 110RS. So these panels here, they are the brightest panels in its class that GVM ever made. These are 60 watt panels and this is still a 50 watt panel. It comes with a very nice case that fits everything in there. So the first thing you're gonna see is the two stands, two power cords, the two power supplies, one for each light of course, and also a light. Then they have a pouch for each light. And a quick disclaimer, GVM sent me these two panels here for me to review and test it out, but that doesn't alter my opinion, and this video is not sponsored by GVM and I'm not paid to say anything here. All I'm trying to do is to review some gears to you guys, plus my YouTube channel needs content, so thank you GVM very much for sending me these lights. All these panels here, they have a bunch of similarities. For example, these are all made of metal. They also comes as an option to buy the light itself or a kit of 2 or 3, maybe more. They always come with the case with the necessary hardware for you to start shooting right away, which is the stand and all the stuff that you need here. All these panels here, the Neewer and the GVM, they also have the master slave feature. They both feature a Bluetooth controlled app. Both applications, they are very stable, doesn't crash on you. The GVM Wi-Fi app, it needs a little bit of work, although they have improved a lot of things there, but the Bluetooth is 100% smooth. It just finds the light. You don't need to get to the settings on your iPhone or the Android to actually find the light. You just launch the application, the GVM ID is right there, ready for you to press connect, and you're pretty much done. Now, one big advantage of the Neewer light is because you can actually control multiple lights by themselves, while the GVM you can always control one light as a master, the other one as a slave, either on the application or manually on the light here. So this is something that needs to be improved with GVM, because the Neewer, I gotta give credit to the Neewer because the application allows you to run every single light one by themselves. And they're all CRI97 with a tiny little exceptions here. For example, these barn doors are made of metal. GVM previously used to be making the barn doors made of metal, but I actually prefer the plastic because it's difficult to bend, and this plastic here, as you can see, is very flexible, so I don't see a way to break these panels unless you really drop the panel on the ground. I still have the old GVM 50RS, which comes with the metal barn doors, and all these lights here, again, they come as the plastic barn doors. I think they help to be making the light lightweight, and I'm not really lousy with my equipment, so plastic barn doors to me is not a problem at all. This panel here is 50 watts, this one is 60 watts, and this is actually brighter than this one, and also for having even more LEDs than this panel has got. And also, as you can see here, for lighting control, which one would you rather have from the both extremes? This one here is at 1%. As you can see, is a little bit too strong, just in case you need to place this light very close, or if you're doing some time lapse or time exposure shooting the sky or whatever, that you need just a little kiss of light. This is the panel to go. This is actually at 1% and it's very dim. You can barely register on the camera there, and this is actually at 1%. You see how much brighter this is compared to both panels. So I'm actually going to be turning off here. So 1% means this amount of light here, and this panel right here, as you can see, I'm turning it off. This is the 1%, and of course you can actually blast 100% here, which is plenty of power for most applications for small studios. All these panels here, including the GVM, the Neewer, they usually come with a heavier layer of diffusion or like a more milky material, more dense type of a diffuser here. But now they're actually making this little thin diffusers, which is pretty much to protect the LEDs, because as you can see here, you can see all the LEDs being revealed right here. So it's not really technically any sort of diffusion. So the diffusion you're getting out of this panels here is probably, I don't know, 5% diffusion. So you're always going to be required to put at least some extra layer of diffusion here, either a Roscoe Cine Gel kind of a diffuser here, or tracing paper. They actually find at Walmart and Hobby Lobby. Tracing paper, that's the name of the thing if you want to buy a nice cheap diffuser. I'm not sure if Neewer makes their own soft box. They probably do, but GVM here, I know for sure they make the soft boxes, but they sell soft boxes now for every single panel size that they have here. The 50RS, the 880RS, the GVM 50SM, the 1200D. I'm also going to include the links for the soft boxes here in the description, either from B&H or Amazon. So if you're interested in the soft box here, you can find it right there. These links, they are affiliated from B&H and Amazon. It doesn't cost you any dollar extra. All it does is to support my channel, so I can actually continue to make videos like this here. So I would appreciate if you use my links. That's all it does. So again, it doesn't cost you anything extra, and you help me out a lot here. So I guess I'm gonna equalize the brightness here just to make everything nice and even and pretty for the video, right? So I'm also gonna be actually clarifying a bunch of questions here. Actually, often I get get asked the same exact questions on the comment section, what the differences are between the 50RS, the 880RS, and the 50SM, and all those lights. So the software or the panels that GVM makes, they are all identical. It's the same exact effects. There's no difference. The fireworks is the same. The candlelight is the same exact thing. So the only difference here is power or brightness. Everything else is pretty much the same. But this panel here, I really like what they did, because the 60 watts, it gives you that extra kick that you always need, because the other panels, I always need a little bit more brightness, because otherwise I have to get the panel a little bit closer to the subject. And this panel here give me the luxury to back it up a foot or two and still be able to light a set, not a huge set, but you know, like a set like this size here. There's one more thing to take in consideration by choosing your GVM panel here. They make two types of LEDs on the actual board here. This one here features a flood type LEDs. As you can see here, those are the little square diodes, which provides you a wider beam and also a softer light, but the light doesn't reach far away. So most cases you'll shoot an interview here, the light is going to be, you know, 3, 4, 5 feet away. Now the GVM 850D, for example, which is also a new release from GVM, they feature a different board here. So the LEDs, they have some kind of a lens that helps you to project the light further and gives you a narrower spot. So it's focused more on a spottier LED light, and this one here again is on a floodier, wider LED type of thing. So you got to figure out the type of LED panel that you want. You can actually choose between the flood type of lights or the more concentrated, the lens type LEDs here. Now besides the features of the lights, the applications, how they connect and how they perform, the RGBs, ZCTs and everything else, they're almost identical. They also share the same type of software. The effects, they look very similar to one another with the Neewer or the GVM. So I think the most important thing here is the accuracy of the light, the quality of the light, and the brightness. So I'm going to be focusing more on this actual video here to show you guys how much brighter this light is and what you can get from a certain distance when you're actually filming something, because sometimes you deal with brighter rooms which you cannot close the windows, you cannot put the subject away from that bright scene. So brightness and light output in this case, it actually plays a big role as far as light performance goes, especially when you actually put something in front of this light here, such as diffusers, soft boxes, or you know, anything in front of this light here. That's gonna attenuate the light a good bit, because the light has to pass through this little diffusion panel here, plus the soft box or whatever it is they put in front of this light here. So there are several ways to work with this light here. GVM actually has released a silicone grid. I'm not sure if that's going to fit this panel here, but at least one I have seen that fits, I think, the 850D or the 800D. But those things, they exist and ready to purchase. Again, I'm not sure if they make for all sizes of GVM panels here, but that's another thing to look at if you want a total light spill control. The soft boxes they actually make also has the grid, which you can also attenuate or control the light. So when you turn the panel this way here, you're not spilling light over there. This is what the grids are for. As you know, the bigger the light source, the softer the light is, and these panels here, they're still rather small. So I think the best way to provide you a gorgeous level of diffusion and lighting, simply place 1, 2, or maybe 3 of these panels all cranked up to 100% behind one of those collapsible semi-transparent discs for diffusion, and then they're gonna act as a big light source, and this is actually the best way to diffuse a light. If you don't want to go that route, you can simply put a diffuser here, and you have to actually place the light out of the shot. I would say 3 feet at least, depending where you're filming. So the closer the light, the better, the softer the light is. So obviously you're going to be putting these panels here at a distance of 3 or 4 feet away, so the light can get a little harsh. If you're actually filming the subject with the way it is here, just put this little diffusers here. That's not going to be enough. The primary way I use these little panels here are for accents, such as background lighting like this here to flood the background. They can actually easily fit this panel behind you here, depending on the distance. You can easily hide it, or accent things like behind the piano, behind anything to do that little extra glow, right? So you set this thing to the RGB. Another thing that I use these panels a lot because they are so easy to carry, very small, they fit pretty much everywhere. You can actually mount on a ceiling, on a glass with the proper hardware to do so. But these panels here, they actually are very useful for shooting real estate. For example, let's say that I'm shooting a hotel room or somebody's property. It can be a commercial building, a home, or whatever. Especially those big homes, when you're actually shooting the wide shot of the guy's living room, you have other rooms there that you don't want it to go dark on the picture. So you take 1 or 2 or 3 of these panels for the room there, you shine in the scene or whatever you gotta do. So everything is gonna be lit, and these panels, they just shine just right. And then you can also use the panels for interviews, the same exact approach. Let's say somebody's big office and you need to shine a little accent here, hide this light behind a filing cabinet or a table or computer desk, you know, to actually do the little glowy stuff, you know. So this panels can actually be very used for that purpose. But I'm not going to be using this panels for key light because I have the big lights here and the huge soft boxes if I need to. And these are the lights or the equipment that I actually take on sets, and usually requires me to bring at least 300 watt lights because of the size of the rooms. So this panels here, they're not going to cut it for me, but you can actually do key lights, but in a smaller room. So here's an example with the master slave feature. Right now I have this light set to master and this one is slave, as long as they share the same channel. For example, this is on channel 1 and channel 1. You can also control up to 12 or 16 lights. I'm sure 12 or 16, I'm not sure. I think maybe. So this back of the light here is very simple. This knob here represents only the brightness, and this one here controls everything else. So right now I'm actually controlling the light right here. As you can see, 0 and then a little bit of light. You can also control to the tungsten light or the daylight. You tap quickly, here's your RGB lights, and here's again your brightness, and then the other knob is controlling the actual colors there, as you can see there. You tap it once again, it goes to the saturation, tap once again, it goes back to the CCT. Now the effects, I think this is not on the menu, you just press and hold the right button for several seconds, that takes you to the effect. And to change the effect, again, you lightly, quickly press the right button. There's the other effect, the police car, and then the candle light and whatnot, the flash. And then to get out of here, press and hold again the right button, and it goes back to the CCT. Now let's briefly take a look at the GVM app, which is the GVM 2 right here. So you tap it on it, and as you can see, the light is instantly listed here. There are 2 lights on. You notice there's only one BT LED, which is the actual GVM Bluetooth ID. The reason why both don't show up is because this light here is actually set to slave. You can only set one light at a time. You can also control this light, whatever this one is doing. The other ones is going to do the same as long as they are set to slave, either from the app or from the master slave feature on the back of the light here. Don't forget, slave always, and the main one set to master or app. So let's connect to the light here. As you can see, connects instantly. There's no waiting. It says you're connected. You can actually control your intensity here, your color temperature, set your HSI, the hue and all, a bunch of other features here. Now let's launch the Neewer app, which also instantly sees the light and connects. Right now I only have one light, the other one is in the case there. So you just tap on it here, and there you go. You can control the brightness, same exact way, CCT. You can also control your RGB here, saturation and all. So both applications, they're very similar. And this one here lets you control more than one light. If you go back there, you're gonna see the other device here. So if you wanna control this one, you tap on this one here, the highlights in blue. And the other one is off because the light is not here. But if you wanna control the other light, just tap on that. You're gonna be controlling the other light. You can also control all the lights simultaneously or each one individually. This one here, you're always gonna need one light as a master and the other ones as slave. Now next I'm gonna be showing you guys here the actual brightness test to see what you're getting for your money and also what you're getting for the 60 watt panels here. In this example here, I have placed both A80RS behind this 5x7 translucent diffuser here, and I think this is actually the best professional lighting as a result with these panels that you can actually have, because you actually quadruple the light source, and as you can see the way the shadows land on the side of the face here, everything is very nice and soft. So right now I'm shooting at ISO 640. The shutter speed is 1/75 of a second and the aperture is f4. So if you're shooting with f2.8 lenses or f1.4, f1.8, you can actually back that way out of here. In this case, I just have this thing a little closer here to show you guys what's going on, but this is the actual setup here that I'm talking about here. And here's with the light set to 3200 degrees Kelvin. It looks like this. This is the actual tungsten light and the camera is set to 5600 degrees Kelvin. Now I'm going to correct the camera on the 3200 degrees Kelvin. Now here's the camera color correcting to manual 3200 degrees Kelvin, and the lights are also set to 3200 degrees Kelvin. So here's the front shot with the light on the side this way here. And here's the shot right in front of the light from the side. And here's an example with the light about 45 degrees. It looks like this here, covering most of my face. Maybe removing the glasses because of the glare. And here's an example with the light the way it is, without any diffusion whatsoever, just the stuff that came with the light here. The light is actually set to 55%, and again I'm shooting at f4, ISO 640, and the shutter is about 75. So here you have the Neewer 660 Pro on the left and the GVM A80RS on the right. They're both set to 100% at 5600 Kelvin color temperature. And I'm also having my phone here to show you guys stuff on the meter right here. This one here is a 50 watt panel. This one is a 60 watt panel. So I would expect at least a half a stop difference. And this one here has more RGBs than the Neewer 660 Pro. So let's see how this stuff is going to play out. So they're both equally placed exactly 1 meter away from this projection screen. And just so you know, this is not a white background. Not that it matters for this particular test measurement here. It's just that, you know, you're gonna see a slight gray image on the picture because this is not a white background. So right now I'm gonna measure this light here, and as you can see, this is at 100%. And with the mirror is reading about f8. Let's see the sweet spot here. f8. So same deal here. Now we're getting the Neewer and measuring the light is about f5 6.4. There you go, f5 6.5. That's the sweet spot right here. Now at 3200 degrees Kelvin, measuring the light again. f5 6.5. Close to f8, f5 6.7. Change to 3200, it's gonna read f5 6.3, almost the same thing, 256 6.5. And at 4400 degrees Kelvin is measuring about f8.8. There you go, almost f11. At 4400 degrees Kelvin is going to read almost f8. There you go, f8. And the ISO here is 830 frames per second. And this is what you're getting with this light at full blast without anything in front of the light. So technically this is f11 right here. Now on the RGB here, I'm picking the magenta for being one of the brightest colors. The saturation is at 100% and the light is at 100% as well. So depending on what color you choose, some colors they are weaker, the other ones are stronger. So let's pick this color here. I think it's at 350. There you go. And we do the same thing for the GVM A80RS. So let's measure this thing here. And the brightness is f4.5. 4.7. 350, 100%, full saturation. Let's measure the light here. It's going to be, yeah, this is actually, there you go, f4. Now in the Neewer, they have actually more RGBs than the GVM A80RS, so I was expecting this to happen. So the Neewer actually wins in terms of brightness on the RGB side. And that's the end of my review. If you like what you saw, please consider subscribing to this channel for more contents like this. And if you want to comment anything, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section that I respond to everything that I see there. So once again, thank you very much for your time watching my content here, and I'll see you next time.